Hi everybody. Let's try plotting up a really simple data set like this in Excel, kind of the quick and dirty way, and see how quickly we can make something of it. So this is a result of the survey we did about the elements of an effective graphic. All I did is average your results, and that's what's represented here. So I'm going to go ahead and insert a chart, and I'm going to start out with the bar chart that's sideways, because I think that's a better place to start. And there we have it. First thing I want to do is get this flipped so that the highest values are on top. So I'm going to click over here. I double clicked on the y-axis and that opens up this, and I can just reverse the order of the categories, and that's a good start. It doesn't look like we need 12 because our values only go to 10, so if I click on the x-axis, it brings up this guy, and I can just change my maximum bounding value to 10. We also don't need them to be that long, so we can kind of collapse that down. And remember we talked in class about how the gaps between being about 50% of the width. If I click on a bar, it brings them all up, and we can change the gap width to 50%. That's a little bit better. They're awfully heavy and bold, so I don't think they need to be blue. We can click on the fill here and maybe put in a different color, like that. We might even be able to put in a gradient, and you might need to mess around with this a little bit, but a preset gradient, a linear type, and fading from left to right. I know you can't see these, but I'm doing a linear right option. To have the higher contrast be down at the end of the bar where we'd want to read the value, and just kind of decreasing the overall look of it. We don't want it to read like an area. We're just measuring the end value. So we want to keep it fairly inconspicuous, I guess. So if you do have gradient stops in the middle, you can just drag them off, and then you click here and change your colors that way. Yeah, you can even change the transparency if you want to, but whatever, for whatever that's worth. We might want this font size to be a little bit bigger. Notice that if you collapse this down a little bit, that didn't quite collapse, it just simplifies which bars it's labeling, and we definitely need a label for each one. And we might, like I said, want this text size to be bigger. So if you click on it and go to your home, you can just affect that there. Because I made it bigger, they don't all fit, so then you have to stretch it out again. I think that this information is more important than this information, so I think it's okay that this text size is a little bit bigger. We do want a good chart title, and we might want it to be something catchy because we'll have a subtitle that describes in more detail. But how about something like "Whip Your Chart into Submission" or something like that. We'll make that our main title. Create some left margin up here, and then let's insert another text box. Actually, here, let's undo that. Insert text. If I click, oh, I'm just click happy here. Insert text, text box. Let's say something more specific. Something like that. Relative importance of key design strategies. So, text-wise, oopsies. Oh. Text-wise, we want the title obviously to be the biggest. If we're happy with this text size, which is 11, let's make this one 12. And then this one, like, jump it up to maybe 16 if we can pull it off. Okay, and then let's change this to a lighter color just so it's not quite as bold on the page. It might be a little crowded, and I'm not pleased with the gap between 0 and then the first bar, but I've messed around with this a little bit. There doesn't seem to be a way to move this. I have messed around, for example, with the labels. Notice that you can make them high or low, which are, you can also make them none, but there doesn't seem to be a very easy way to control that gap right there. Luckily in Inkscape, there's a very easy way, so I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, so we've got these pieces here. Give that a little bit more space. And we've got that going that way. We might want a little bit of information about where this came from, kind of data credit type of a thing. And notice that I'm going to go ahead and insert text again. If I click in the graph and type up what I want it to say, something like 2018 survey, 6 respondents, average value of responses, something like that. We want it to be right aligned. We want it to be super small. 8's not going to cut it. Let's make it 6. And then let's make it a really light gray color so that it fades into the background but is there. The box itself is kind of constrained by this gap here, and we could probably mess around with that a little bit. And maybe it's okay the way it is. If you feel limited by that, you can cut this and paste it outside of the graph and then drag it back on. But then you've got 2 elements you need to keep track of and you need to group them. So just be aware of that. Okay, let's go ahead and right-click and copy this thing. We're going to paste it into an empty Word doc. So I'm just going to Control V to paste, and then we'll do a File Save As and save this as a, we're going to save it as a PDF file. You can't see this, but there we go. So saving it as a PDF. And then in Inkscape, which I will open up, I'm going to File, Open, and go to my desktop and go open my graph. You end up having to kind of plod through this import settings. I just accept the defaults, and it opens up like this. There we go. Okay, so if I Control scroll, I can increase the size of this thing on my page, and then I want to highlight all of it or select all of it, so you kind of just click, grab, and then you can increase the whole size. Okay, and then just notice that I can grab, oh, I should be able to grab this whole bar at once. Oh, you stubborn little turkey. Right now I'm shift clicking on each one of the numbers. You may be able to just grab it, and then I'm going to use the arrow keys and just drag them down. Much better. You should be able to affect all your different pieces here that way. You can shift click to select multiple things and then align. Let's see here. There should be an alignment. Let's see here. One of these guys opens up an alignment piece over here. I don't think these are moving, rotating. Let's see here. Object. Align and distribute. Oh, here we go. And then we can align left. Oh, that really made a huge change. Okay, so oh hey, it didn't preserve the gradient. Did I save the gradient? I did. That is very interesting. I wonder if there's anything we can do about that. Okay, so what we need to do is get the fill and stroke menu over here. So we can go up to Object, Fill and Stroke, and we want to apply a gradient. So let's select one bar and just create a gradient. So we want a linear gradient, and what we want to do is use this thing, which is the, I don't know, gradient thing. And notice it's just drawn this blue line across here. So this is our start point. If you hover, it should tell you it's a start point, and this is the end point. I don't know how I know that, I just do. Oh, I guess it's down here. Linear gradient end. Look right here. Linear gradient end, linear gradient start. So click on the start, and we want this to be partially transparent, and we can affect that over here. So the opacity, let's make it 10%. Something like that. You can do whatever you want. And then the end, we want it to be this same color gray. So I grab the eyedropper and just click in a gray, and now we have that set. Yeah, so click on gradient again, and you'll see we've just created this thing. It's called 1435. So that's the name of it. What we can do is just, let's see here, I think we want to go back. Do we still have 1435? Yeah. Go back to your select element key and use the shift key and just carefully select all these. There's probably a better way, but let's just do this. And then we can go into our gradients again. Hello, where are you, styles? Oh, it's because I have multiple things selected, huh? Well, I'm not very happy about that. Oh, that was weird. Okay, but we want 1435. Oh, okay, stupid Inkscape. I just clicked around, came back to this, and there they were, and that looks great. And so I don't know how that worked. And this actually looks kind of better, I think, than it did in Excel, because they're transparent, not going from white to gray, but transparent to gray, so we can actually see the bars in between, and that might be a good thing or a bad thing, I'm not sure. You can probably select each one of these bars and even make them lighter gray if you want there, or transparent. I don't know for sure, but I would guess that that's kind of what Inkscape does. You might have to make this bigger on your computer so you can actually pick up that little tick mark, but that wasn't so painful. And there you go. Now you can just save it, export it to PNG or TIFF or JPEG or whatever you want to do.